9th of May 2023. Progress on Snoopy's robot boat, rough cut.
Steer it in the right direction. And what is it 7 miles? It's because that's to the first waypoint at Bray Lake.
That's a flavour, then a few still photographs, only lasting a few seconds, giving a flavour of the technical content of the video, which are mostly video clips, and you'll be able to see that one as part of what follows.
We're making a bit of progress on repairs to Snoopy's robot boat, which is mostly replacements. We now have a rudder, and what we have here is related to that, and we have a duplicate of the rudder, because one of the problems in making the rudder was getting all the details right. And what we have running here is a very old copy of the software and computer from before the 2012 attempt, but the reason we've got this running is when we put a replacement servo in there, we'll be able to plug it in and check that all the mechanical linkages are correct. Basic things like the rudder goes in the right direction. Now, the important thing about Snoopy's robot boat design is we're using industry standard interfaces everywhere that go way back. So, for example, 5-volt power, which is used in a lot of things, but it's very convenient because we can use ordinary model boat radio controlled power packs for testing, and in fact just enough of those in give us enough power for the boat. Obviously we can use later technology, but the name of the game is keep it simple and make sure it's really tested. And so the power is going into the computer. The software in the computer is driving the servo, which is connected to the rudder to steer it in the right direction.
7 miles, 351, right 13.
And what is it 7 miles? It's because that's to the first waypoint at Bray Lake. So this old version of the software said, right, wherever we are, that's the first place we start from. There's the GPS going into it, and I guess now's a quick chance to go through, and a page I already put on the screen here, which is linked from other Snoopy pages, is the block diagram. So that shows everything is duplicated with the exception of the computer, and what we put on just for testing is the text-to-speech unit. So typically that goes on when we're testing a change of the software, and that's years since it was last changed, on a slightly more recent computer than that one. And right, that's enough talking from me. That'll do for that clip.
7 miles, 351, left 20.
Now, an earlier video is, if we go away from the block diagram, which is on the design page, and come out of that, go to my front page, and on the YouTube channel we have the videos in the order of the most recent comes first, and if you scroll down you can look at, and there are hundreds of them, and some of them relate to robot boats. But if we take that one, which is the coronation weekend,
My coffee and a bit more work. Yes, this looks like the evening meal, and backwards and forwards doing different things. Collecting all the bits for the robot boat, and the pond's been
right,
out.
the key thing is that the YouTube time bar, let's just expand this,
Of course, I was also
the video might be about completely other things, as this was. Yeah, introduction there, but if one used the time bar, one can peruse through to the bit that might be relevant, and just like this, okay? There's quite a lot of things. I saw a rudder there, so that's obviously related to the robot boat stuff. So we go into it.
So several jobs all going on at the same time. June at the tennis club, and me working on a spare rudder for the boat. So I have a reference rudder. That's the process. There's Toady.
The important thing is that you've got that. I'll stop that for a moment. You've actually got the means of going quickly through. So if somebody says, well, there's a video, got lots of stuff I'm not interested in, but look at a particular place, they can give the time reference of wherever it is. There we go. There's a photograph of the pussycat from opposite. And of course the other important thing is that you can translate it into any language. You can switch on subtitles. So if we go to the robot boat stuff again, which I think was through here somewhere, if I can find it, there we go. Oh, there we go. I saw a rudder. Right. And so what we've got are subtitles coming up now. And if I switch this to automatic subtitles, so under settings, so English auto-generated, auto-translate into any language you like. So where are we? Yeah, Indian, Italian. I'll choose Italian, and then we can play it from there.
Be working on a spare rudder for the boat, so I have a reference rudder. So that's the process. There's Toady.
Right, enough of that. And of course, one of the key things is that when it comes to the video, it can be put out on any media, but sometimes photographs are a much more efficient way of doing things.
7 miles, 351, left 310. 7 miles, 351, left 320. 7 miles.
Of course, trackers are very important. That's that on test. This is the tracker that failed, and we had to get it replaced. It's because everything got covered with seawater when water came up the rudder shaft in here. That's because Robin forgot to file a flat. So basically the linkage came away from the shaft. But trackers, as I say, are very important. And we've been using the Spot Satcoms system for years. And whenever we take a run out, we're checking the replacement spot tracker, which will be going into the boat, and the spare one, which is in a box with its own solar panels that we've used for years for testing. And that one has always been public off the contact page. And we're checking out some other ones, like these GoTop trackers. And yes, there's Snoopy's smaller robot boat, but he performs very good, but he's not quite big enough for carrying enough solar panels for the power to go across the Atlantic. But again, that's for experiment stuff. While we're going past, yes, Robin's Corner, and that's typically where we test the GPS units and where we've used it for testing for, well, I don't know, since the late 1980s for testing GPS. Yes, garden sculpture that June gave Robin for his birthday present. I can see this is coming into the standard introduction, so may as well do some of that. Snoopy's robot boat survived 6 weeks at sea in the 2022 attempt, and this is the camper van that was used to take him down to the coast for launch. And there's the battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. And I always point out the warning signs for health and safety reasons at the beginning of a video. So yes, closed circuit TV, hidden TV cameras inside in the house, cameras everywhere. That's just for anybody interested in the nitty-gritty of the robot boat. But on the subject of health and safety, it's not only cameras, but you've got to beware of water squirters, and you've got to read the small print. That's the health and safety done. I feel completely relaxed about anybody visiting the property now. So, back into the house, I guess. Samantha working from home. Got to be quiet. This is where it's been used as a bit of a workshop for the repairs. And all this stuff is going to go out into the garden, into the proper places for them. Like there's a workshop over there, there's a laboratory further down, and there's other places. But I've got to be quiet and try not to trip over anything. That's looking out the back. Anyhow, there's plenty of earlier videos that give all this stuff. This one concentrates a bit more on Snoopy's robot boat. I was going to show you what we expect to be doing next here. Got interrupted by June getting back from tennis, and this time I didn't put a tracker in her boat, but yeah, give you the chance to see the garage. There's lots of junk in here, but some of it is quite important junk, like earlier hobbies of aerial drones. Long before they became popular. Right, so hope she enjoyed the tennis. Yes, well, you see it, that was a garden project, was on earlier videos, and we know the cat's in there, even though you don't see him at a glance because of the little light. Hello, Toadie. Not getting up to mischief, I hope. So how did the tennis go?
Yes, good.
You won?
You won.
Oh, okay, how about that? She'll be happy then. Right, so back to what I was about to show you. So that is still running, and we're going to use that to test the rudder linkage. So we've got the rudder in, we have a spare rudder there, and so perhaps the next thing is to carefully rip out just this, the old servo that's failed, and replace it one which is identical product and tested for reliability for years, and then we can plug, instead of this servo, we just plug that before it's all soldered up. Yeah, it's okay, dear. I'm just showing, obviously on video, just showing what I've got working here. Okay. Yes, so that is the next stage. I don't know where we'll get a chance to get around with it because, as I've said many times, there just aren't enough hours in the day. Lots of things going on, and nicely, most of them are nice things. So I think we'll be going off to the Sicilian shop later, and maybe rehearse some of my Sicilian dialect for our holiday, which is now booked.
7 miles, 351, right 109. 7 miles, 351, right 151.
It's the tracker that June carries on her handbag, the same type as I have. Been using them for years. I haven't found their way into the robot boats yet. I was interested, I don't know when it was, 5 or 10 years ago. I got them cheap. It's because they had a little camera on, and thought we might add it as an extra. I realised those only work within mobile phone range, but our GPS bottle project many years ago still went quite a few miles out to sea. I mentioned GPS bottles. Quickest way to find that is probably off my press page. Lots of other stuff, including more serious subjects. But these are the GPS bottles, and they were televised and got a bit of promotion with Radio Solent. Although they were used to promote Radio Solent. So let me just go to the bottom page, because we learnt a lot on that. So this is following the link to the GPS bottle page. We can scroll down it, shows how the bottles were constructed, but we learnt a lot on that project about the way the tide behaved, the wind and the tide. And this was, of course, several years before the robot boat work, and so that was a key learning curve on that, and there'll be videos on that as well somewhere. It was the earlier old GPS bottle project back in 2004 where we really learnt things. That was where artist Layla Curtis had a project, and we helped her as a hobby project to launch bottles and track them as part of promotion for the opening of Contemporary. And we learned a lot from that project in terms of the behaviour of the tide and the movement of water due to the surface. So we learned a lot of that, and that knowledge was carried through onto the robot boat work. Following links on the GPS bottle story into even more detail, then we can see the work we were doing years ago. This was updated in 2004, which was modelling of the movement of a floating object that's without a sail due to wind and tide. And very simple sums can be done on that. All carried through to the robot boat work. But the Snoopy page is the place to start, and it has a number of topics here, and they often overlap in terms of getting information from other people around the world on bright ideas, not least of which is Alexa's sailing saucer that appears in other places. So that seems still running. Time to wrap this video up, I think. You'll be glad to know.
7 miles, 351, left 100.
So to wrap this video up, this video will probably be going onto the YouTube channel, and you scroll down and I'll wrap up with the video which shows
2012 attempt on the Atlantic, filmed by the BBC TV and on YouTube, so you get automatic subtitles with translation. Snoopy's robot boat that survived the 2022.
Yes, that video is worth playing because it's got the good work of the BBC guy, Ben Paul. So, only remains to say, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.
Ninth of May 2023. Progress on Snoopy's robot boat, rough cut.
Steer it in the right direction.
7 miles, 351, right 13.
And what is it 7 miles? It's because that's to the first waypoint of Bray Lake.
7 miles.
That's a flavour, then a few still photographs. Only lasted a few seconds, given the flavour of the technical content of video, which are mostly video clips, and you'll be able to see that one as part of what follows.